A 33-foot-long anaconda was recently found by workers on a construction site in Brazil. The huge snake, which weighs in at 882 pounds, was discovered by the workers after they carried out a controlled demolition inside of a cave. After making the frightening discovery, the workers chained the animal to a crane and later lifted it up to reveal its yellow spotted underbelly. It's claimed the builders killed the snake rather than leave it in its natural habitat, but this has not been confirmed. Others believe the animal may have died in the explosion, possibly being hit by falling debris. One user wrote, "I'm not sure if this is real, but if it is, it's a shame on these people for killing it." A snake that big has probably been alive for a very long time, just to be killed for a few pictures. The Guinness World Record for the longest snake in captivity is currently held by Medusa, a snake in Kansas City, Missouri, which measures 25 feet 2 inches long. So this finding beats that record by another 8 feet in length. A giant mystery sea creature was thought to have been spotted in one of New Zealand's most frequented bays. A huge, unexplained wake can be seen in this Google Earth image. It was captured by a satellite at about 11:30 a.m. on January 30th. An engineer spotted the wake while on Google Earth researching for his holiday home. He told Daily Mail Australia the wake could have been left by a creature around 12 meters in size.
É a sucuri, anaconda. Agora vai embora. É louco.
Dubbed Diamond City, Mirny Mine is in eastern Siberia and is the 4th deepest mine in the world. It's so immensely huge it creates a vortex, potentially strong enough to suck in helicopters into its deep depths. At 1,722 feet deep and with a diameter of nearly 1 mile, the crater looks like the nearby town of Mirny was hit by a huge meteorite. In the midst of the Siberian wilderness, there's a town known as Mirny. Only a few full-time residents call the place home, all of whom live in a small community built on stilts to prevent the melted permafrost from flooding their homes in the spring. In 1970, representatives from De Beers requested a tour of the mine to see the production for themselves. The request took 6 years to approve, and even after the representatives arrived in Mirny, they faced pushback. By the time the representatives were granted access to the mine, they only had 20 minutes to tour the facilities, hardly enough time to gain insight. From then on, the Mirny mine, a factory churning out billions of dollars in product without a single outsider ever gaining entrance. Even after the fall of the USSR, the mine continued to run, funded by several local companies. Then suddenly, in 2004, it closed for good. Officials stated there was a flood and that they had gone too deep in the mine. However, conspiracy theorists and diamond dealers floated around other alternative theories. Now, the massive open air hole of the Mirny diamond mine lies abandoned. The airspace above it's restricted, as the sheer depth of the mine can suck helicopters into its huge vortex. When the cold air from the surface meets the heated air coming from the bowels of the mine, it creates a vortex powerful enough to suck helicopters and small aircraft down into its depths. Several incidents have been reported. For now, the Mirny diamond mine remains a mysterious vortex, a seemingly bottomless pit that once produced more than half of the world's diamonds. Archaeologists have discovered fossils in South America of an enormous prehistoric rat that was the size of a human many years ago. The 10-million-year-old rat weighed in at approximately 180 pounds and had 2 gigantic curved incisor teeth on its 5-foot frame. For comparison purposes, the modern brown rat is less than 1 foot in length and weighs approximately 8 ounces. The discovery of the 2 skull fossils were found in the Brazilian Amazon. Despite its great size, they weren't very smart. A CT scan showed that its brain likely weighed just 4 ounces. Although it was one of the largest rodents ever, the brain of this giant rodent was very small relative to its body mass. The rodent's main predators were crocodiles, who were also much larger in size than they are today. In a span of less than 2 weeks, there was a widespread die-off of critically endangered antelope throughout central Kazakhstan. The United Nations reported that more than 120,000 of the animals, that's more than a third of the global population, died from mid-May through the end of the month. It's the largest die-off event of this species ever recorded. While scientists have not yet pinpointed the cause of the deaths, a preliminary analysis showed that a combination of environmental and biological factors were involved, as mainly mothers and calves were among the dead. However, this discovery fails to solve the mystery. One possible suspect in the die-off event is rocket fuel from decades of launches from facilities in central Kazakhstan. Currently, Russia launches manned and unmanned missions to the International Space Station from the Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. In the 1940s, locals found giant skeletons inside of a cave in Romania. After the findings were revealed to archaeologists, they were immediately taken away from the public eye. The burial site comprised of more than 80 bones, and will likely never know anything more about them. If we look at ancient writings from South America, North America, Europe, and Asia, we'll find that ancient cultures mention giants in their writings. Some ancient texts not only mention giants, but suggest they were real. Everywhere from Asia, North America, and Africa, we see enormous footprints embedded into rock, which are indicative of giant-sized humans. They point towards stories, legends, and myths found in many mythologies of the ancient world. Greeks, Mayans, Aztecs, and many more. But most importantly, it's in almost every major sacred book, the Hindu Ramayana, and even the Bible. In addition to the massive footprints found around the globe, there's written evidence which also suggests these beings were real. A 2,000-year-old book called the Book of Giants is what many are referring to as the ultimate proof of the existence of giants. Over 50 years ago, scholars came across this fascinating book which details the Nephilim and how these beings were destroyed. The Nephilim have long been considered the giant beings that inhabited our planet in the distant past and are referenced in the Bible. The Book of Giants was found nearly a half-century ago. Experts also recovered thousands of ancient scrolls that offer invaluable details of mankind's past. So in addition to the footprints, we have ancient texts that speak of giants and how these beings existed on Earth. But not everyone is convinced that these ancient texts are proof of giants. Many believe that these are just myths created by our ancients. But if giants are just a myth, how come we see massive footprints in different parts of the world? People say they've been confiscating these findings for many years and storing them somewhere out of public view. There are hundreds of news articles dating as far back as the 1800s solidifying the discoveries of giant skeletons. Take a look at some of these actual news articles. The majority of them found in America. It's amazing how much evidence we actually have. It seems like we should know more about these incredible findings. the largest verified impact crater on Earth. It was more than 190 miles wide when it was originally formed. The crater is calculated to be over 2 billion years old, and it's the third oldest known crater on Earth. In 2005, it was added to the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The asteroid that hit this area is estimated to have been one of the largest ever to strike Earth. The dome in the center of the crater was originally thought to have been formed by a volcanic explosion. But in the mid-1990s, evidence revealed it was the site of a huge meteor impact. The crater site is one of the few multiple-ridged impact craters on Earth, although they are common elsewhere in the solar system. Perhaps the best-known example is the crater on Jupiter's moon. Earth's moon has some as well. Geological processes such as erosion and plate tectonics have destroyed most multiple-ring craters on Earth. A giant penguin that stood as tall as a person was identified from fossil leg bones discovered by an amateur paleontologist in New Zealand. The human-sized penguin wasn't the only oversized bird in New Zealand. It was also home to the world's largest parrot and enormous oversized eagles. Enormous penguins are believed to have rapidly evolved after the dinosaur disappeared, and large marine reptiles also vanished from the southern hemisphere waters, which were much warmer than today. The giant penguin was identified as a new species by a team from the Canterbury Museum, and it said that they lived around 50 million years ago and weighed around 170 pounds. It's the fifth ancient penguin species described from fossils. According to researchers, the penguin's leg bones suggest its feet played a greater role in swimming than those of modern penguins. You've likely heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but there's a place known as the Devil's Sea where it's reported no fish will swim, boats will go missing, and some even claim it's a portal of some kind. There are a lot of mysterious places around the world that are difficult to explain. The legends of missing vessels and ghost ships drifting without its crew in these locations have only fueled the mystery more. Although the notorious Bermuda Triangle tops the list of most mysterious places on Earth, a number of other locations remain just as mysterious. The Devil's Sea, also known as the Dragon's Triangle, is a sailor's nightmare. Located near the Japanese coast in the Pacific Ocean, the Devil's Sea is one of the 12 naturally occurring anomalies on Earth. These are areas where the pull of the planet's electromagnetic waves is stronger than anywhere else. As the title indicates, the Dragon's Triangle extends as a triangle between Japan and the islands of Bonin, including a major portion of the Philippine Sea. Devil's Sea is not officially included on any map, so the actual size and the perimeter of the notorious waters remain unknown. According to legend, the waters inside the triangle are notorious for making even the strongest vessels disappear, along with the crew aboard. It's said that the conqueror Kublai Khan, the fifth great Khan of the Mongol Empire and the grandson of the great Genghis Khan, tried to invade Japan. However, on both attempts he failed to invade the country after losing his vessels and 40,000 crew members in this triangular area. Later, strengthening the truth behind the legend, divers and marine archaeologists located remains of the old Mongol fleets. In the 1940s and 1950s, a number of fishing vessels and numerous military vessels disappeared into the sea. As a result, Japan sent a research ship in 1952 to investigate, but the vessels seemingly disappeared without a trace. The Japanese government declared this area dangerous for marine voyaging and transporting goods. As a result of this incident, all efforts to unearth the facts behind this mystery were also aborted completely. The term Dragon's Triangle originates from the Chinese fable about dragons existing below the water's surface. According to these tales, the dragons under the sea attack vessels passing by. These stories originated thousands of years ago. Numerous failed attempts have been made to understand the truth behind the so-called paranormal phenomenon. In 1944, a Japanese pilot claimed to see a huge sea monster as he flew over the Devil's Sea during an aerial battle. He said the serpent-like monster swam through the waters quickly and held its head above the surface. Supposedly, the creature was about 150 feet long. Scholars like Ivan Sanderson have suggested that it's the hot and cold currents crossing this area. According to him, these currents result in electromagnetic disturbances that trap the ships passing by. Another hypothesis suggests it's subsea volcanoes, but there are no rational explanations for what people claim to have seen there. This 200-foot wide object, 300 feet below the Baltic Sea, has baffled oceanographers since its discovery in 2012. It has a striking resemblance of the Star Wars Millennium Falcon. The Baltic Sea anomaly appears to be formed of pieces of angular metal, prompting claims of a UFO crash. Swedish explorer Peter Lindberg and his OceanX team of marine explorers discovered this strange object during a dive searching for an old shipwreck. Electric and satellite diving equipment reportedly cuts out when near the object. A professional diver with OceanX said, "Anything electric, the satellite phone as well, won't work when above the object." Sonar has found drag marks behind the object, and geologist Steve Weiner says, according to his tests, the structure is not a geological formation. He said the object is made of metals which nature could not reproduce itself. It's thought to be at least 140,000 years old after a university professor linked the mysterious disk to the Ice Age. The team suggested their sonar image showed an object with unusual features of seemingly non-natural origin. Studies are still ongoing, and we still have no real answer for what this is. The Golden Rock Temple is located in southern Asia. It's among the most uniquely built anywhere in the world. The temple stands 23 feet in the air atop of a huge golden rock. The rock appears to be hanging on by a thread. Apart from defying gravity, the Golden Rock Temple also hides a religious tradition by Buddhists worldwide. Legend says the Buddha was visiting various Asian locations when he met a man who chose to spend his life in lowliness and to follow God. Apparently, Buddha gave the man a single strand of his hair, and then he gave it to the king of that time. The king used that single strand of Buddha's hair to hold up that rock so the temple could be built on top. Speculation continues to surround the discovery of a 13-foot horned sea monster that washed up on a beach southeast of Spain. Experts from the Marine Protection Society are now analyzing the remains in an effort to identify it. Samples were taken and the rest of the body was buried for hygiene reasons. Civil Protection Coordinator Maria Sanchez told Digital Spy, "We have no idea what it is, probably because it's so badly decomposed." A spokesman for the Marine Biological Association said it could be the backbone of a shark with the rest of it decaying away. As for the horns, it's pretty inconclusive. David Schiffman, a University of Miami shark researcher, told NBC the official guess of the thresher shark seems to be plausible. He also suggested that the fish might be a giant oarfish. Oarfish sightings often prompt tales of sea serpents, and they're rarely captured on video. Another giant sea creature recently washed up on a beach in Indonesia, leaving everyone guessing, including scientists. Armenian scientists are struggling to solve the secret of a mountain road on the way to Mount Aragats, where a 7th century fortress is located. There are many legends about this mountain. On the internet, you can find dozens of videos with people testing and experiencing this strange anomaly. The water flows upward. A car without a driver climbs up the mountain itself, completely defying the laws of physics. It's hard to believe, but in some places, the car will even accelerate on its own. A physicist and his friend discovered this anomalous zone. They filmed it and put it up on the internet. Onik, the physicist who found it, believes this phenomenon is associated with gravity. Gravity should be directed towards the Earth's core, but there are distortions of gravity that can be observed here. The river flows up at a 20-degree angle. In a demonstration, Onik rolled a water bottle down the asphalt. After a few rotations, it stopped and started to roll back upwards. Abnormal zones still pose a mystery for scientists. The influence of such zones on human health is also being actively investigated. A recent story circulating suggests the 40-year-old mystery of the so-called wow signal from space has been solved, but a number of scientists aren't convinced. In 1977, the sound of extraterrestrials was heard by human ears for the very first time, or so people thought. The wow signal was detected by astronomer Jerry Emin using Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio telescope. It's a radio signal detector that at the time was pointed at a group of stars in the constellation Sagittarius. When scanning the skies around the stars, Emin captured a 72-second radio wave transmission. He circled the reading and wrote "wow," hence the name. Over the last 40 years, the signal has been cited as evidence that we are not alone in the galaxy. Experts and laymen alike believe that finally we had evidence of alien life. The wow signal remains the strongest and clearest signal ever received from an unknown source in space, as well as the most fascinating and unexplainable. Others have tried to pick up the signal again over the ensuing decades without luck, allowing the mystery to endure. Another mysterious creature was spotted lurking in the Albert Dock. The huge animal has raised suspicions that the freezing waters have put a shark off course. Simon Hoban, 36, stumbled on the unexpected image when he took a look at the Albert Dock on Google Earth. Thought to be the shape of a basking shark, which are not man-eaters and are native to UK waters, the shape appears to be larger than some of the boats, making it about 35 feet long. At first glance, it seems it could be a hoax, but a visit to Google Earth's Albert Dock images and see for yourself. Marine biology expert Tom Cornwell thinks the image could be that of a shark that perhaps veered off course, or which may have been looking for a place to die. He said water creatures have been known to cruise the wrong way up rivers and canals and become stranded. Shifting current patterns, rising sea levels, and increased temperatures may also be to blame for the migrating shark populations. This is not the first time a shark has been found in this area, but that was on a much smaller scale. Scientists appear to have unraveled the mystery of a uranium ore found at a mine in Africa. According to an August 10th bulletin from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the first response that physicists had when they first found the high-grade ore in 1972 was that it wasn't natural. 2 billion years ago, long before humans developed the first commercial nuclear power plant in the 1950s, 17 natural nuclear reactors operated in Africa. The energy produced by these natural nuclear reactors had an average power output of about 100 kilowatts, which would power about 1,000 light bulbs. These nuclear reactors began operating around 2 billion years ago, and they continued to operate in a stable manner for up to 1 million years. Furthermore, the reactor was safely contained for over 2 billion years, proving evidence that long-term geological storage of nuclear waste is feasible. The reactors likely switched on and off at regular intervals and was moderated by water. In addition, there wasn't a single meltdown. The reactors operated in a stable fashion for up to 1 million years. It's likely natural nuclear reactors operated in numerous places. Some suggest the Great Pyramids were also nuclear reactors. Perhaps we just haven't found the evidence yet. Every day we seem to stumble upon amazing discoveries that have yet to be explained. Many of them kept away from the public view. It's an amazing world out there, and there's no telling what we might find. Until next time, I'm Jack Helms. Thanks for joining me on our journey to find the world's most mysterious discoveries.